Hey guys, welcome to another Was It Woke video. So today I'm going to be talking about the film Sound of Freedom. So we're going to be doing things a little bit different today because if anyone who knows anything about Sound of Freedom knows that this film was not woke. In fact, it was quite controversial because a lot of people in the media and whatnot were accusing it of essentially being anti-woke and some sort of alt-right conspiracy theory movie that was just like peddling right-wing ideas. And so I really want to explore that today and kind of run it through my criteria, but kind of the opposite way to determine was it an anti-woke film. And the way that'll work, as usual, is I got my 5 criteria starting with racial diversity, LGBTQ representation, toxic masculinity / feminist messaging, traditions bad, progressivism good, and anti-capitalism / pro-socialism. So I'm going to run it through that 5 agenda and rank it from 1 to 10 in terms of how anti-woke was it. So if it's at 10, that means it is anti-woke. If it's closer to 0, that means it's not anti-woke. And so with that out of the way, let's get started. So number 1, starting with racial diversity. So to talk about the diversity in this film, it takes place in a number of countries. It's like USA and believe Colombia and different places. So you see a lot of different cultures and nationalities in this film. But that said, their culture or their nationality has no bearing whatsoever on how they act in certain ways. It doesn't paint any culture as being better or worse than the other. It is just simply telling the story with the characters that it has around them. And so if you want to say it is a diverse film in the sense that it has a diverse cast of all different colors, genders and whatnot, but there's no messaging behind any of them being virtuous or unvirtuous or whatever. They are just there as people, as they should be. And so, yeah, for that, I have to say it's for racial diversity, it's a 0 out of 10. Number 2 is LGBTQ representation. So this film doesn't really have any LGBTQ representation in it. Because now, on the surface, that could be interpreted as, oh, they don't like LGBTQ people, whatnot. But here's the thing, it doesn't have them and it doesn't have any commentary on them whatsoever. It doesn't link anything. Now, there are some of the perpetrators in this film who abuse children who are slightly hinted that they might be gay, but that is just, it's not saying all of them are, it's just these few that they show are. And that does reflect the real world in terms of, in the vastness that is people who commit those atrocities, some of them are gay. And so that's not an agenda, that's just reality. There's no agenda in there to push LGBTQ people as being bad in any way. I didn't see any of that. And so, but people might take some of that to interpret as if they are pushing it back. And so I'll give a little bit of that where I can, so just from being very generous. And so I'll give a 1 out of 10 for LGBTQ representation. Number 3 is toxic masculinity / feminist messaging. There is nothing regarding either of these in this film. You have good and bad men and you have good and bad women. That's it. They exist because that is the real world. The real world is you have good and bad people across all cultures, diversities, whatever you want to call it. And this film is no exception. I mean, there are strong men in this film, and the leaders of this film, the ones like pushing to rescue these children, are men, right? They are men, and they are strong men trying to do the right thing. There are women there who are helping them too. And, on the other side, there are really bad men doing terrible things, and there's even bad women doing terrible things. It's all there. This is the real world. And so to say that is anti-woke in any way is just delusional, if you ask me. And so, yeah, I'm going to give a 0 out of 10 for toxic masculinity / feminist messaging. Number 4 is traditions bad, progressivism good. So this is the area, the one criteria of the film that I could say has the most, what you could consider anti-wokeness to it. And what I mean by that is that dealing with the traditional side in terms of religion. Religion is a big theme in this film, and it's very much, on the positive side of the film. The believers in this film are virtuous and are the good guys, and they really are showing that the bad guys are just unholy in a lot of ways. And so that if you want to interpret that as anti-woke, fine, be my guest. I don't necessarily subscribe to that ideology. I don't think just because you're religious that means you are anti-woke or vice versa, So, but I could give a little bit of leeway to the fact that even in the promotional material of this film, they are really kind of sticking it in the face that if you are on the side of God, you are against these monsters. And I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. Even if you're not a religious person, I think most people would believe that God-fearing people, are going to mostly be good. And so genuinely God-fearing people, I should clarify. And so, yeah, like that, to me, that's as clear as day. But I couldn't see how some people could interpret that as anti-woke or pushing some sort of anti-woke agenda against people who don't believe in God. Anyways, I don't think that's the case, but I'll be generous here. So I'm going to give a 4 out of 10 for traditions bad, progressivism good. The fifth and final criteria is anti-capitalism / pro-socialism. This is a quick one. There is not really any mention of this. It has no bearing on the story whatsoever, capitalism, socialism, or any of those. It's not anything to do with that criteria, so it's kind of irrelevant here. So I'm just going to give it a straight up 0 out of 10 for anti-capitalism / pro-socialism. And so I'll take the totals of those 5 criteria and add them up, which equals 5. I divide that by the 5 criteria, and that equals 1. And 1 is firmly not anti-woke. Call me biased, call me whatever you want. I'm a Christian. I hate what's happening in the world and what the subject matter of this film has to deal with. I'm firmly against this stuff. I have no leeway for it. Call me whatever you want, but this film, I'm going to be as objective as possible, is just not anti-woke. Just because it is against child traffickers and all the stuff that some people on the fringe left slightly sympathize with doesn't make this side anti-woke. I think there is definitely anti-woke stuff out there. I think you can find content that will present you that kind of stuff. This film is not that. So if you haven't seen the film, I urge you to see it. You don't have anything to worry about. If you are someone on the left, I think you can very much sympathize with this film and its message. It's nothing. This film to me just has nothing to do with our political divides. Every people across all spectrums of life can appreciate the message and the story of this film. And yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's just not anti-woke. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this slight variation of my usual Was It Woke videos. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Post your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you think it was anti-woke? Did you not want to hear them all? And yeah, subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. And yeah, that's it, guys. So we'll see you next time. Bye.